The Brickyard 400 is back this week. After 4 years of being off the NASCAR schedule and instead being on the road course, we now are back on the oval. And one of the crown jewel events of NASCAR is back on the schedule as well. So, what a change that we've had. Just think back to 4 or 5 years ago. Think back to the 2019 Brickyard 400. It was run in early September. Barely anybody was there. The NFL season was starting that same weekend, and with that, not much attention was put on an event that many thought was on its dying days. And Kevin Harvick dominated it. It was completely unmemorable. I'm pretty sure that unless I reminded you of it just now, not many of you out there actually remembered exactly what happened in that race. And with it, it also was the cutoff until the playoffs that year. Yeah. Nobody really remembers it though. And that's how the event really was in its final few years. And in its last season, it was put on Daytona's July 4th weekend date as a desperate move to save the event. Daytona being moved to the regular season finale and the Brickyard hopefully garnering some kind of audience on that July 4th weekend. With that as well, you also had something that NASCAR had actually wanted for a long time of the Brickyard taking that Daytona date and having Daytona move to a more important part of the schedule. But with that, of course, 2020 ruined it, and because of the COVID pandemic, there were no fans allowed. Even so, there were almost 4.5 million viewers on television that tuned in to the 2020 Brickyard 400 to watch Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, and Matt Kenseth duel for a victory. Ultimately, again, Harvick getting the win. And with that, that would be the end of the Indianapolis Oval on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule heading into the 2020s. Instead, we move to the road course. And I will be up front, and I've been on this the entire time since it was announced all the way to now. I still think it was the right move to try the road course for a couple years. It didn't work. We learned about it and know what went wrong, and we know why we need to go back to what would work better like before. Absence made the heart grow fonder. And with that, the absence of the Brickyard 400, the absence of the Indianapolis Oval, and the absence of a true marquee event in the most hallowed grounds in all of racing really made fans miss this event. Maybe to a point that they forgot how it actually was before, but still, they missed it. Most NASCAR fans do not like road course racing or are just so-so on it. TV numbers prove this, even though the attendance is up at these tracks. Not many people at home really like watching road course racing in NASCAR unless it's a really big deal, like at the Daytona road course or something like that. And with that, the Indy road course with the next-gen car was probably not the greatest combination when it came to producing a good, compelling racing product. In the last year that we ran at the Indy road course, we didn't have even stage cautions, which I, again, am okay with. But because of that, many fans were upset that there was only one caution on the entire day, and somebody like Michael McDowell would end up getting the victory. Again, I don't think anything's wrong with that, but most NASCAR fans seemingly have moved past me and what their beliefs of the sport are. And with that, it's probably one of my biggest critiques here is the other reason, in large part, that people wanted this race brought back: nostalgia. Let's not kid ourselves. There were some really great moments in the Brickyard 400 through its early days. I would even say in its first dozen years or so, the only race that had more big moments and really compelling, long-term, kind of legacy-impacting moments was the Daytona 500. The Brickyard 400 was basically the crown jewel of the second half of the season for NBC and soon after ESPN. And with that, you had Tony Stewart winning at his hometown track. You had greats like Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and a whole host of other great drivers winning this race and cementing a legacy not only in NASCAR history, but because of being at Indianapolis, in all of motorsports history. And with that as well, you had a ton of reason for people to keep coming to the track each year. Now, that kind of got watered down into the 2010s as many different problems happened, and the caliber of winners did go down for a large portion of the end of the 2000s into the 2010s. But with that, IMS really is a place that people can look at with nostalgia. NASCAR fans are generally some of the most nostalgic fans in all of sports, and it's clear by the different things they want that the different things, for instance, I would want, and the different things that NASCAR changes in order to try and make them happy. I'm looking at you, North Wilkesboro and Spring Bristol dates, and possibly Rockingham, among a ton of other different moves. And the big part with nostalgia is there is a big amount of history with this race and this racetrack in particular. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the most historic racing location on Earth. Anyone who wants to debate that is probably going to lose. Being on the oval is something that elevates any series that's on it, whether it be Indy cars with the Indy 500 or go-kart. Doesn't matter. If you're on the oval in any way, people are going to look at you differently. And we now see that in a large way more, seeing what it was like without the oval for 3 years. NASCAR needs these marquee special events. TV thrives off of them. Look at the Chicago street race. Even having rain issues 2 years in a row, they're in the top 5 most watched NASCAR broadcasts of 2023 and 2024. And with that attendance as well, people want to be there for big events. People nowadays especially seem to have major FOMO when it comes to how they consume sport. It's probably because of social media and other different aspects, letting them have more access and making them feel like they need to be there. And look at NASCAR in general, with more attendance numbers going up than I'd say have been going up in the last 15 years. So what will the 2024 Brickyard 400 be like? I'm gonna be honest, racing-wise, okay at best. It's really not going to be all that special of a race. I hope I'm proven wrong. If anything can prove me wrong on a large track, it probably would be the next gen race car. But the racing with NASCAR at Indianapolis has never been great. It's always been very aero dependent, and these cars are heavily aero dependent. Pocono is probably the most similar racetrack to Indy when it comes to racing product, and I would say that this past weekend's race at Pocono was generally favored well by the fan base, but not necessarily a banger like many want it to be. And I think that that's kind of what you're going to see this weekend. What you need to hope for is a major strategy finish with either a huge disparity in tires when it comes to the leaders and those charging, or a huge disparity when it comes to who can make it to the finish. Seeing guys possibly running out in the last couple laps and making it a true strategy fuel mileage kind of finish, which can be very compelling if done right. Just look at 2011 with Paul Menard, of all people, winning the Brickyard 400. But with that, I want to know what you think. What are you looking forward to most this weekend with the 2024 Brickyard 400? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.